I know it's Sunday. What the heck am I doing here on a Sunday with 20 minutes notice? Oops, and a phone that I forgot to mute because I'm trying to. All right, so here we go. So far, 0 people are watching, and that's totally fine because you know what? I didn't even have a chance to title this episode. I saw. Oh, look at that! I can retitle it while I'm talking to y'all. How cool is that? Hold on. Not even talking to anybody yet, so I'm retitling this right now. All right. Also using a new keyboard on a new device, which is actually part of the reason why I decided to do this when I got the notice that the Shuttle Pod show was taking a much needed break. Personally, I think it was, yep, that's where I want to go. We are good. All right. They are taking a much needed break because they deserve it. Honestly, I think it's a little late. I believe that they really should have taken it a while ago. So they, like I said, they deserved it. And for those of you that are regular viewers of the show, you will notice that my background is different. I didn't even turn on my background. People were saying I fade into the background on here. And the reason that I didn't turn it on is because I'm not in my office. My office actually looks worse than what's behind me right now, which is the view from my kitchen. It's the view from my kitchen because I am testing something new. That's another reason why I told Mark, I'm like, listen, if you guys can't make it, I am totally happy to fill in the gap because I know a lot of people were looking forward to hanging out with the with the Shuttle Pod show and all of the amazing chatters on the Shuttle Pod show. But hey, we can always chat here. I'm always up for just hanging out live with you guys. And I did break. This is my third mimosa, just so y'all know. I like to pregame a little bit. I usually have one mimosa with breakfast while I'm waiting for the Shuttle Pod show. So by the time the show airs, I'm usually in it by, maybe 2. But since I said let's have mimosas with me today, I poured myself a third one. Like I said, the Shuttle Pod show was on a much needed break. And you know what? I love the fact that Mark is ready to do the live Q&As, but that takes a lot to do a live Q&A. Those of you that are fans of the 7th rule, you've seen it. It takes a lot of hands to make that work because you want to make sure that nobody's question gets skipped, that the super chatters who, donated so that their questions would pop to the top, especially don't get skipped. Nobody should get skipped, but it's a tough job. And you got to have all your ducks in a row. You've got to have the moderators in place, like what I do and what my fellow Wash Gang members do, where we moderate the chat. And that's not easy. And again, there's a couple of us that do it because you need to have that many eyes on the chats. And we delete people and or delete comments or we time somebody out for inappropriateness. But that's only half of it when you're doing. That's only half of it. Oh, Stevie, no. That's only half of it when you go live because then you've got to have people that are actually with you in the room reading the questions, making sure, like I said, the questions don't get skipped, the questions get answered, and nobody feels left out while they're participating in a live chat. Not to mention how tough it's going to be, for the 3 of them to be, kind of feel like, the spotlight for real is on them with the audience. Not that Connor and Dominic aren't used to it. I mean, it is basically a Q&A at a convention. But when it's streaming, there's so many other moving parts that need to be considered. So I know that they really want to do it. I know Mark had said in a post, and a couple of different posts that I saw come through on my phone, that they really want to do it, that they're just working up towards it. Because when they rip the Band-Aid off and they finally do it, obviously they want to do a service to all of their fans when they do it. And that's important. You make mistakes and you stumble, but you still want to have everything in place that you absolutely need to. The other reason why you guys are all looking at my kitchen or at the view from behind my kitchen or however you want to look at it is because, as you all know, one of the things that I tried to do when I was out in LA for the Shuttle Pod show was, do a little bit of live broadcasting. And it turns out I can live broadcast on YouTube, which I honestly did not realize until I was out there. But that wasn't what I wanted to do. I wanted to use my streaming platform that allows me to multi-stream to, a couple different platforms at the same time, so I was fair to everybody. So I wanted to use Restream, and I could not find something compact to take with me. So I ended up taking one of my older laptops with me, and it worked until the battery ran out, and there was no place to plug the battery in, which didn't make sense because I'd spent all night charging it, but it's an older machine. So what did I do? I went out and I bought myself a little Microsoft Surface. And so today is the dry run with the setup on the Microsoft Surface, and my camera, my standalone actual video camera that was a gift from one of my really good friends here at the Shuttle Pod Show. It was on my Amazon wish list. He was kind enough to get it for me, and it had a bit of a workout in LA, but my goal obviously is to take it with me and do much more extensive things. And now that I've got a Surface Pro, which is tiny and compact and lightweight, and it's a computer, but it's still a computer, which I love, because I mean, there are definitely things where you want a laptop, but for things like this where I don't feel like I need a laptop. Hey Linda, how are you? Thanks for jumping in. Always good to see you. Thanks for coming. Oh, hold on, what am I trying to do? Oh, okay, got it. I wonder if I can delete that. Nope. Thanks for joining us. I know, like I said, I know there's a lot of people out there that we're like, we all, including me, we all set aside our Sunday mornings for the Shuttle Pod Show. So I'm just here kind of with Mark's permission, filling the gap and just kind of yapping away. I don't want to talk about anything I'm going to talk about tomorrow night. Tomorrow night's going to be Star Trek potluck. It was going to be, and again, much deserved break. This is no dig against them, the Shuttle Pod Show not having a show this week. But it was going to be talking about 2 Shuttle Pod shows because I really didn't get a chance to delve into Mark or to delve into Michael Westmore, and a couple episodes of Picard because I didn't get a chance to talk on it last week because I wasn't live. And then after that, it was just going to kind of be a potluck show. But now I've only got 1 episode of Shuttle Pod Show to talk about, but I still have 2 episodes of Picard, and I might even throw in some Baby Yoda tomorrow. No, I didn't go to the cruise. I did not go on the cruise, and I was so gutted about not going on the cruise that I don't want to talk about the cruise. I'm hoping to go next year. I got the people I work for. I just got a new day job back in end of September, and they kept promising me that if this happens, we'll send you on the Star Trek cruise, and then it never happened. So the cruise is just. I scrolled past those pictures so fast. I know you all had the most amazing time, and I am so happy for all of you, and I hope next year I will be with you. But yes, exactly. They were carrot and sticking me, and then there were things that were out of my control. It's like they were promising me stuff, and then projects fell apart. So the project that I was working on that was supposed to get me on the Star Trek cruise ended up not happening. How is that fair? How is that fair? Are you trying to make me feel better, Ernest, or are you telling me the truth? I went on 3. I was on the cruise 3, and it was like the most amazing experience. You know what? I'm not sure anybody out there, has heard the Stingray story, or who all has heard the Stingray story. But I went on on cruise 3, and anybody who cruises, this is like a little life hack for anybody that goes on the Star Trek cruise, I guess. Before you sign up for the celebrity excursions, remember, those are the celebrity excursions that are put on by ECP. Yeah, 3 was fantastic. By ECP. But then there are also the regular excursions that are put on by the cruise. So don't necessarily jump and spend the extra money to go on the excursion. Let's say there's an excursion with a Star Trek actor that you're not that fond of, but that's the excursion you want to go on. then if you really don't want to spend time with whatever actor's running that excursion, when you get on the boat, that excursion is going to be available cheaper without the actor. Well, hello, Kelly. Oh, I am so happy you're here. Thanks for staying awake to join me. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, so there aren't even any excursions. Oh, see? Well, then this comes in really handy because I wanted to do swim with the stingrays. I did swim with the stingrays with a couple of friends, and we were all friendly with Chase Masterson, and she was the chicken and chillin'. I love that. Chicken and chillin'. So we were all friends with Chase. So there was no reason for us to spend the extra $20 or so to go hang out with Chase. Let everybody else that doesn't know Chase, and that doesn't know Chase and wants to have the experience, because obviously they're limited people. We're like, we'll just go swim with the stingrays through. It was Norwegian at the time. We'll just swim with the stingrays with Norwegian's excursion, and we're gonna leave the Chase thing for fans that don't get to hang out with her. So we're sitting on the boat and we're heading out to the stingrays. And at one point, the 5 of us are sitting there, and we look over, and there's freaking Michael Dorn. So we got a celebrity excursion without paying the celebrity excursion price, because we all got to hang out with Michael Dorn and swim with the stingrays. I hated Michael Dorn. He was tall, I was short. Every time a big swell came in, I felt like I was going to drown. It is really not meant for people that are 5'3". I felt like I needed water wings. And I'm still waiting for my 7 years of good luck from kissing the stingray. But it was definitely an excursion that it was definitely memorable, petting and feeding and kissing stingrays and getting massages. They give stingrays massages. So you guys got to let me know how's the audio coming through? How's everything going? Because like I said, I'm doing everything through my new camera, my new video camera, instead of the computer, my little Surface. But this is working out really, 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 really well. And I'm really loving it. And I'm trying to stay on for a little while, because usually when I do pop-up live events, and I end them, and then 10 minutes later, War Dog will pop in and be like, I didn't see it until it was too late. So I'm kind of hoping that, since I bounced all over the place. The other cool thing, and I don't know how this happened, it clicks now and then. Is it clicking? I wonder, because I haven't figured out about the external mic thing yet. So that's something else I'll have to test. I didn't want to test it here because I had a feeling it wasn't going to work. That could also be my dishwasher, which I forgot I was running. So if you hear like background noise, it's the dishwasher. But isn't this fun? Impromptu. I'm just here doing an impromptu show. What the hell? Got nothing else going on today. Like I said, my 1 to 2 and 1 to 3 is usually reserved for Shuttle Pod Show. Again, love all of you all. I believe you all deserve this break. No ill will. I'm just kind of doing this, like I said, to test out my new equipment and to see if maybe this is going to be roadworthy, because we do have STLV coming up. It's going to be here quicker than we think. And this is going to be the gear that I'm taking with me to STLV, so that I can hopefully do some live interviews on the floor, maybe. I don't know where I'm going to be or how I'm going to be doing it, because everything's still up in the air. But all I do know is I have my room reserved. If I could figure out a way to pay for a flight, because right now a flight to Vegas for me is $700 flipping dollars. And I'm really mad at American, because they spoiled me, because when I went out to LA, I got the Boeing with the 3 seats, or the 3 rows, and it was great and was comfortable and it was amazing. And for some reason, even though Las Vegas is only like a 45, like the flight to Vegas is only like 45 minutes shorter, it's a smaller plane. I'm like, no, it should be, I want a Boeing. I'm spoiled. I want the Boeing. Anyway, I do need how to figure out how to do that. But y'all know I am going to be in Vegas. As usual, you guys can always send me your questions for me to talk to, interview some of your favorites who are going to be in the vendor's room. That is my usual MO. Hopefully this year, now that we're back in the Rio, it'll happen. But again, it was a lot easier to arrange that kind of stuff when the convention was 5 days, and people didn't feel like I was taking them away from too much. Or actually, the first time that I did it, it was audio only, so it was really easy to interview people on the floor. It's a little more complicated to interview people on the floor when it's video. So when I did it the following year for video for the show, Nikki DeBoer was the only one that was available to come hang out with me and do it. But it was still, that was a great interview. We had a lot of fun. So what else is going on that I can talk about that I don't want to talk about, that I can talk about here and don't want to waste it because I want to save stuff for tomorrow? Oh, yeah, for anybody who is listening, who is here now or who might be listening later, like I said, I talked to Mark very briefly before we got on. Yeah, okay, here we go. So, Patreon. The Shuttlepod Show is revamping their Patreon. And in order to do that, he wants to include the patrons because who better to give feedback than the people that are the patrons and have the experience. So, if everybody out there who is a patron of the Shuttlepod Show wants to kind of sit down, think about it, think about their level, think about the perks that they've received through their level. I'm not sure exactly how we're going to be reaching out. I've offered some suggestions. I don't know if Mark's going to take me up on them. I think he should, but that's because I'm biased to my own suggestions, of course. But think about what your thoughts are on the Shuttlepod Show's Patreon. Are you enjoying it? Do you think he could be doing more? Do you think he could do less? Be honest. You know, do you feel like you're being inundated? Do you feel like, whatever it is? I know he's working really hard to give you exclusive content. I I struggle with exclusive content for my patrons only because I do a live show and that's all I do, and there's no extended version. So I struggle sometimes with what I could be giving my patrons, and I could be, doing more for my patrons. So I'm going to be perfectly honest. If you guys are going to help out Mark and help out with some suggestions, the after show might steal a couple. Yes, that's true. I should just send you multiple surveys, Kelly, and you could just fill out a bunch of surveys for a bunch of different people. That's true. They do have a lot of messages to go through. But if you haven't felt comfortable messaging the show about what your feelings are towards their Patreon, then you know what? Just you'll have a chance. You'll have a chance to specifically get your voice heard as we revamp the Patreon page. But the one thing that I do want to say to anybody within the sound of my voice, and I mean this goes for every patron everywhere, from the Shuttlepod Show to the Seventh Rule to my page to every page on Patreon. That stuff is exclusive to the people that pay for it. I don't think that really needs to be said, but that's me. And everybody who's a patron on every page needs to respect their fellow patrons by not sharing exclusive content outside of Patreon for whatever reason. Don't share it. It's not just disrespectful to the show, whatever show or whatever it is, or artist or whomever it is that you're supporting on Patreon. It's disrespectful to them because they work very hard to decide what is going to be exclusive content and what's going to be shared with the world at large. So they work very hard to figure out what they want to share with just the people that have been loyal and shown their loyalty and their support through monetary contributions. So it's disrespectful to them. And then it is also disrespectful to your fellow patrons because they're paying their money to keep this stuff within the Patreon community so that they can see it and share, and not share it, and only share it within the Patreon community. So when you take, I don't care if it's a picture. I don't care if it's just a snapshot of something that hasn't been shared anywhere else but within Patreon. Don't screenshot it. Don't grab it. Don't send it. Don't share it. It's disrespectful. War Dog! He's here. Look at you. See, I stayed on long enough so you could see the notifications and show up. It doesn't need to be said. So many jerks sharing exclusive Patreon stuff with their friends on a message board or wherever, or worse yet, social media. I mean, it's all Thank you, War Dog. It does need to be said. And there should be penalties. I personally feel like, yay, War Dog. I feel like, like I said, that it shouldn't be said, but War Dog, you're right. It does need to be said because it's just disrespectful all around. And people that don't see that, and there should be penalties, and there will be penalties. I mean, anybody on Patreon, I feel like, this is my personal opinion. Hasn't gone anywhere. This is my personal opinion. And if I do start sharing specific content on Patreon, this will be my creed. You get one warning. If I find out that you have shared something that's specifically for my patrons, you get one warning. Hey, don't do it. You do it again, and I don't care if you're a $5 or a $10 donor, I'm kicking you off. Because you know why? Because I would rather lose your one donation than lose everybody else's donation, because they're rightfully pissed off that I shared that something got shared outside of the content. So yes. Let's see. Not cool at all. Isn't there a way to prevent sharing from Patreon? People can screen grab just about anything. You can't really lock down. You can't, people can take screenshots. You're on your phone, you just take a screen grab and then you share it and then you share it. The quality is not great, but it gets shared that way. Patreon probably can keep you from downloading it directly, but that won't keep somebody from opening it on their phone and doing a screen grab and then sharing it to social. Which actually is what happened to me. I posted that fantastic autograph that I got when I was in LA with Ciroc and Nana and Connor and Dominic and Erica and Mark all signed that fantastic picture. And I shared it, and somebody screenshot it and then shared a piece of it as if it was their autograph. And I let them have it when I found out about it. Because to me, that's a violation. You just literally stole something that belonged to me. I don't care if there was a picture of something that I physically own. But, oh, wow. See, Kelly knows a little bit more about Patreon than I do, which is ridiculous for something that's meant to. Yeah, that is ridiculous. There's a way to shut that off. Yeah, exactly. Or you just take a picture. Exactly. But somebody screenshot or downloaded or whatever an autograph that I posted and passed it off as their own. And I'm like, and then they pretended like they didn't know where they got it from, which I thought was ridiculous. Because I know where it came from. And I'm like, you know what? Take it down. There's no excuse. You don't get to take something that belongs to anybody and then try and pass it off as your own. And it's a violation to me. And I have very strong feelings about my stuff and people that steal things. And this is also true. People will always find a way to get around things. But fortunately, the person heard me and they took it down, which is good, because otherwise I was reporting them, and I was going to, what is it? Let loose the dogs of war. We all know Shakespeare is so much better in the original Klingon, but I don't know how to say that in Klingon. But yeah, I was pissed. So I know you guys here aren't going to do it, but I just, this goes out to the internets, and if one person sees this and understands that it was something that they were thinking about or never looked at it that way, that it's, that it really is, you're stealing something that belongs to somebody else, or you're doing something completely disrespectful when you take something off of Patreon and share it with the world at large. Just think twice about it. Just because it's the internet, and I know I've said this before, but just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should. And just because you can get your way around shit doesn't mean that you should get your way around shit. By the way, who else is drinking? Because, like I said, this is on my third mimosa. So I was serious. If you're going to have mimosas, you can have them with me. I'm so excited. I am loving this camera setup. I am not loving the fact that I only have 30 minutes of this battery remaining. I think I need to complain to the person that I bought it from. Supposedly, I bought this and it was supposed to have at least 80% of its battery life from new. Like, it's supposed to, but and honestly, it could, or I guess this is a good lesson. I guess it could also be that the camera is sucking power. So I guess I can't complain too much. the camera. If I have to like jump over, I think I know where the cord for this thing is. That's the weird thing about these. And I don't know if the 3 is the same as the 2, but they have this weird power cord. So it's not a normal power cord. So that's kind of goofy. There's like the jack in the it's a specific power thing that does not, it's not just a sweet little USB-C that I can plug in. But I am really excited that the USB-C converter thing that I got is working, and the camera is working beautifully. The other cool thing I can do with Restream is I can add a camera. I'm going to do this for like 2 seconds because I like playing with my toys. But look at this. This is so cool. I did get a chance to do this when I was in LA very briefly. So I'm on my camera, and then the Microsoft Surface camera that's facing backwards is showing you my messy table. How cool is that? So I could do like split screen interviews and stuff on just this one thing, which is a reason that I'm seriously considering keeping Restream, because I don't think StreamYard has it. My only problem with Restream is, and you guys that watched the show last week, I think you noticed, I recorded the first bit I recorded an intro to my Eric Pierpoint interview that I launched last week. And I recorded it, and it looked perfectly fine. And obviously I'm speaking in sync with my video while I'm recording it. But when you download it, the audio is all wonky. Restream does not do that very well. I've never had that problem recording a video with StreamYard. So that could just mean that I need to figure out a better way to record my intros if I'm going to keep Restream, because I love that split screen. It's going to be way more fun when I'm out and about. Speaking of which, I do have a couple of conventions coming up. Speaking of out and about, the first one is going to be Long Island Trek, woo, which is at the end of May. It's May 20th and 21st. And I will be there representing the one and only JG Hertzler. So far, they're only Klingon. They only have one Klingon in the mix, and you can't have a convention without Klingons. So JG and I are going to be there, and I know Ernesto is planning on going. I can't wait to see him. And the group. And so I'm going to be up there repping with JG. And then just about a month later, I am heading up to Connecticut. Anybody that's been around with the show long enough knows that it's like a little quiet. It's like the quiet sci-fi convention. I'm trying to remember exactly what they call themselves, so that you all can see it. Hold on, because you know what? You guys can watch me check my mail, right? Because you've watched me do all these other things. This is why I love having like a bunch of different things around with me, a bunch of different devices. Quiet Corner. I knew it was Quiet something. It's the Quiet Corner sci-fi and comic experience. It is just this perfect tiny little thing. It's one day. It's the last Saturday in April, which is, I think, I want to say the 29th, but I'm going to double check my calendar if it comes up. I believe it's April 29th. It's going to be at Grill 57 in Pomfret, which I always want to call Pomfret because there's only one letter off. Pomfret, Connecticut. It's just off of 395, right, pretty damn close to the Massachusetts border. So I'm excited for an excuse to go back to New England. I'm excited to have been invited to a convention as my podcast. So the show and I are going to go up there, and it's going to be a great time. And they've asked if I wanted to, broadcast from there. So that's exactly what I'm planning on doing. It's from 10 to 5 Eastern. Obviously, we're in Connecticut. And then I'll have a chance to go visit family and friends in Massachusetts, hopefully, for the rest of the weekend. And I found an absolutely adorable Airbnb that has horses. So I might have to message them and see if I can, I don't need to go horseback riding, but I wouldn't mind waking up in the morning and seeing horses out my window, because I am an equestrian. And much like Captain Pike and Captain Picard and Captain Kirk. There we go. One of my favorite scenes in Generations, and I might have mentioned this before, but one of my favorite scenes in Generations was when Kirk and Picard were off riding horses, and they stopped, and Antonio was up on the hill, and they start talking about being a captain and how it's in your blood and whatever. And Kirk does this Kirk's horse does this sweet little sidestep, which is a dressage move, which is not a move that horses do naturally. It's not something that when you're riding a horse, any horse can do. That's a very specific dressage move. And William Shatner does dressage, and just that little nod to his life outside of Star Trek with his horses, to watch his little horse do that beautiful, perfect little sidestep and sidle right over to Picard. I always thought that was probably my favorite scene in Generations. Again, horse person. When was the last time I went riding? God, probably when I was up in State College. My friends have horses. My friends that live in Central PA have horses. So usually when I go up, I try to get on horseback. And this cruise that I'm going on for work, which unfortunately is not the Star Trek cruise, has a horseback riding excursion. So I might just have to do that just to get myself back out there. What else is going on that isn't going to be part of tomorrow's potluck? Oh, well, I can share this. And one of the other reasons I was really excited to do this today, I don't know what happened. I don't know why, how, when, but the podcast got legitimized. I don't know. I didn't think that I had hit the threshold, but the other day I got a notification from YouTube saying you're getting a new handle. And I thought, what the hell? What's a handle? And why am I getting a new one? And they gave me NX gobbledygook. And I went, no, it's NX7062. They're like, this is appropriate for you. I'm like, no, NX7062 is appropriate for me, but for some reason, they're saying NX7062 is taken. I'm like, yeah, it's taken by me. Why can't, but whatever. The NX7062 was not taken. So now my YouTube URL, which used to be, youtube.tv/ blah, 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 isn't gobbledygook anymore. It's at the NX7062. So I actually have a real live URL that is branded for this show that I got to share for the first time on Twitter, inviting everybody to come here. So I'm really excited about that. So that probably means from now on, when I pop up in chats, it's going to say the NX7062 instead of just NX7062. But I don't care. Either way, I am incredibly happy that I have a more branded YouTube page. You made it when YouTube lets you brand your page. And I will say, in case anybody's wondering who's following me on Twitter, I did spend $8 to get the blue check mark, because why not? And also because my dictation to my phone doesn't always work, and I don't always catch my own typos before I post things. So it's nice. I mean, it sucks that you have to pay for it, but it is nice to have those editing capabilities, because the one thing I hate is finding out that there's something messed up in one of my Twitter posts that really needs to be corrected, but people have already interacted with it. And then I feel like I'm taking things away from them. Like Ernesto was so, and this isn't Twitter, but it's the same thing. Ernesto was so cool when I posted about JG and I going to this, going to Long Island Trek. JG was, Ernesto was so cool. And he's like, I'm going to tell people on the cruise, and I'm really excited. And I thought that was fantastic, and I really appreciated that. But thanks to Kelly, I learned a very interesting lesson, and this is something Facebook really needs to fix. But that post that I shared, Long Island Trek had to update it. And the minute that Long Island Trek updated the post on their page, it blocked it. It knocked it off of not only my pages, but also JG's page. So then you get that ugly, this content is no longer available, which always makes it look like the poster did something wrong. That's what I hate about it. This content's no longer available. Always makes it look like the poster, and it's not. It turns out that if the original post is updated, Facebook doesn't bother, the algorithm doesn't bother going around and updating it for everybody else. It just tells you that the content's no longer available. So Ernesto and his wonderful comments and his wonderful excitement, I had to delete it and repost it with the updated JG is going to be at Long Island Trek. And I hated doing that, Ernesto, because you were so amazing. So if you want to go back and say that again, and hopefully we're able to spread some word about me and JG on the cruise. I actually have a friend, and I can't believe he's not jumping at this opportunity. I have a really good friend. He and I reconnected recently, and he told me that his boss gave him a batleth. It is a full-size batleth, metal batleth. He hasn't even bothered to take the coverings off the ends because he's afraid he's going to hurt himself or ruin something in his little apartment. He's like, I'd be the type of person to pick it up and then just have it go over. And I said, I can get JG to sign that for you if you want. And he's like, oh no. How do you not know? I don't know. I mean, I would have loved it if if they can add Bob O'Reilly. I don't know if they're going to be able to. But how do you not add, how do you not want JG's autograph? I'm offended. I'm offended. But it's his decision. I mean, and if he's worried because it's a weapon, I can keep it in my trunk all weekend. That's the one thing I haven't told him. I'll keep it in my trunk all weekend. I'll just take it out and be like, JG, can you sign this and put it back in my trunk? It doesn't even need to see the light of day if that's what he's worried about. And I can understand that because you can't really fly with that. But I'm driving. It's Long Island. I'm driving. Very early. I'm going up. It's a Saturday, Sunday convention. And I have a hotel room for a night. So I am driving up wicked early. Probably stopping at the Starbucks on Staten Island, maybe, because I know what the Starbucks is on Staten Island, and that'll be, I'll stop before I get on the road, and then by the time I hit Staten Island, I'll probably be ready for another Starbucks. And I know, none of the rest of you care, but Ernesto, I am probably going to be at the Starbucks at Victory and Bradley Boulevard at some point on Saturday morning before the convention, getting extra fuel to go out to Long Island. I told you my best friend lives on Staten Island, and he actually lives pretty close to that Starbucks. So I know the Staten Island Mall, I know the Staten Island Ferry, and a couple other places on Staten Island. I happen to be quite fond of Staten Island. I know Staten Island gets a bad rap, just like Jersey gets a bad rap. Staten Island gets a bad rap. So I'm all about defending. Those two places because they are actually pretty nice. I mean, but like everywhere else in the world, they've got really cool places and really shitty places. I mean, but you're going to find that freaking everywhere. So I don't understand why Staten Island and then Jay get such a bad rap. Speaking of rapping, I've been on here for 37 minutes. I am so glad you guys all jumped on to join me. Anybody else drinking? I asked this and I didn't see anybody else answer me in the chats unless I missed it. But who else is all drinking? That was the other thing I discovered in LA. My mimosas, I always make them with Asti, but there was a lovely brunch hosted by Shuttlepod Show that I went to on Sunday morning, and this really great place called Maz's Italian, and the brunch was absolutely lovely, and they made mimosas with a dry French champagne, and I really wish I would have taken a picture of the bottle because it was so good. And I usually don't like a dry champagne, but when you mixed it with the sweetness of the orange juice, it was absolutely, absolutely freaking amazing. But what I like to do, because I only do mimosas, once a week for Shuttlepod Show, usually, is I get what's called a split. They're called splits. It's a little 4-pack of Asti, Martini and Rossi Asti Spumante. The bottles are about this big. I am denying myself the pop. They don't have a cork. They have a screw cap. But because they have a screw cap means I can pour myself a drink or two one Sunday, put the cap back on, know that the bubbles are going to be there the following Sunday. So if anybody wants to enjoy mimosas with a Shuttlepod Show on a weekly basis like I do, that's a really good idea. I think there's Prosecco's that come in splits too. But most larger liquor stores will have, they're called splits. It's a little 4-pack. The bottles are like, you know what? Hold on. They're right here. Hold on. They're so cute. It's a benefit to doing the show from my kitchen. Okay. See? Just a tiny little, with a little screw cap. And you get 4 of them. And I think it was like $12. And if Martini and Rossi would like to be a sponsor, I would love that. Just saying, because Martini and Rossi Asti Spumante, my mom introduced me to it because she likes sparkling, but she was never a big champagne person either, because we both have sweet tooths when it comes to our alcohol. We like them on the sweeter side. Asti is sweeter than champagne, but it's still like some bubbly. And if you get a bigger bottle when you're with friends, you will get the cork and you will get that satisfying pop. But like I said, for a screw cap that keeps it nice and fresh from week to week, in little baby bottles, it makes sense for me. So that's an ad. Like I said, Martini and Rossi, if you would like to sponsor me, I would be happy to talk about you every week. Because Martini and Rossi makes the Shuttle Pod show even more fun when you have like the little bubbles going up your nose. So let's see what else. Okay. So for those of you that are just joining, don't forget the Shuttle Pod show is looking for their patrons to submit ideas, and we want to know what the patrons are thinking. I am not just the after show. I am part of the support staff. So we really want to know what the patrons are thinking. We're revamping the Patreon page, and we really want to know what the patrons are thinking. And Mark's looking to revamp the perks and maybe revamp some levels. I don't know exactly what's going on in his head. I know once it comes out, it's going to be absolutely fabulous. Whatever it is, Mark is one of the most generous people that I have met, and I am not just saying that to butter him up, but he really is incredibly generous, and he recognizes that he wouldn't have a show the same way I recognize it. I wouldn't have a show if you guys wouldn't show up every week. What would be the point of me yelling out at the internet verse? And every show needs that. It's just some shows don't necessarily appreciate it as much as other shows do. Am I missing chats? Let me see. Oh, look at that. Okay. Wow. I don't know why, but Mark. Oh my gosh. I am just noticing. Mark, don't leave. Don't leave. Oh my God. My freaking chat didn't move. Don't leave. Don't leave. Don't leave. I thought you were supposed to be resting. Is this resting for you? I can't believe now I'm red faced because I didn't realize you were here. Hi, Travis. My freaking chat didn't move. All right. So I guess that's another mark against what the platform I'm using. I like to join artists, musicians, and speakers in their frame of mind when I experience their content. There you go, Travis. That is so well said. Look at that. Now I can spend time catching up on all these chats that I missed. That's amazing, Travis. That is so sweet and so true. You said you were doing a show to test your stuff, and I wanted to show our support. Oh, Mark, thank you so much. Thank you. And look, it's all working. It's all working. That camera that I dragged with me all the way to LA is working, and my Microsoft Pro. It's all working really, really well. Except I'm gonna have to. Don't go anywhere. Nobody go anywhere because this is getting all right. I have to learn how to work with a smaller screen. But Mark, thank you so much. So I guess you heard me talking about you and talking about the show and all that fun stuff. Wait, guys, don't go anywhere. Because I didn't realize how quickly I was going to lose power running this. So, see, but this is what I was talking about. This is the power cord for the Microsoft Pro. Isn't that weird? Pod racing GIF. Yeah, I told you, Mark's one of the most generous people. I'm not just saying that because he showed up. I'm saying that because, it's true. Like John Leguizamo would say in Moulin Rouge, I only speak the truth. I only speak the truth. One of my favorite non-science fiction movies. Alrighty. See, there we go. I have the power. All right. Now this isn't going to shut down 2 seconds after. All right. Cool. So this is how Mark relaxes. He watches other people's shuttle. He watches other people's shows. I love it. The support so incredible. Yes, isn't that the truth? That's how I feel too. It's like these are my people. You are all my people, and it's an amazing feeling when you find your tribe, so to speak. Yeah, one of us. And Mark, I think the fact that you can be part of something on a Sunday that you don't have to. It's not work for you when you're just hanging out in the chats for somebody else's show. Yes. Yes, exactly. Exactly. We are the tribe. We are the safe haven. We are the wash gang. That's exactly how I felt when I came back into the fold back in 2016. Vegas, my first Vegas really brought that home for me, where I ended up meeting the person who was going to become my best friend, just just because we were in Vegas working the merch table together. Um, so yeah, this really is where you belong, Mark. Even when you do lose at trivia, we still love you. Um, yes, exactly. You know, you guys don't even know. Well, I guess you do because I got up twice, but yeah, you wouldn't even know if I was wearing pants or not. Isn't even this is upscale compared to what I was going to look like if I was just watching the pod show. Or a bra, which is so important not to have to wear one. Yeah, exactly. Lounge around in your pajamas, no pants. You know you made it when you can just lounge around and not have to get dressed. So, I mean, seriously, what I'm wearing under this is why I zipped up my sweat jacket, you know, to do this. And why I'm not even wearing makeup, which is why I put the hat on, because now you can't see what my eyes look like because I'm hiding under the brim of my hat because I threw this together in 20 minutes. So at least my chat's moving again so I can see everybody that's here. Um, so I guess, boss Mark, I'm gonna work on that Google form for you so we can get the opinions of all the patrons. I also broke a nail for you guys just getting the power cord. Just saying, but you're all worth it. I just don't know when I'm going to be able to get in to see my manicurist. Hi, Erica. We love you. Hopefully you're resting up. So, Mark, is there anything you can tell us about? Oh, yeah. By the way, Mark, I texted you. I'm going to put you on the spot right here because, you know, but I did text you about whether or not you want to come on the show tomorrow night. So think about that. Blue decon chamber skivvies for the show. Yeah, I actually, and I've said this before, I actually have. You know what? You can do that really easy. Decon skip. Why isn't this shit showing up? Is there a lag? All right, let's try this or not. Travis said he needs some blue decon skivvies. You can find them on Amazon. Just regular boxer briefs and underwear tank tops. You can find them in the proper colors. Yay! All right, everybody saw that in the chat, even though I can't share it. Mark is coming on the show tomorrow night. We all get to see his. We might not have gotten to see today, but we can all see it tomorrow. Mark's going to come on the show. For the fact that I don't talk about tomorrow. So tomorrow night is Star Trek potpourri potluck. I don't know. I'm thinking Jeopardy right now. Plus 3 mimosas in. So let's see. Let's try this again. Tomorrow night show is Star Trek potluck with chatting about Shuttlepod show and Shuttlepod show and 2 episodes of Picard, and maybe even a little Mandalorian. So, Mark, if you are not caught up on Picard, I suggest you do so since you've got the day off. Star Trek potluck. Exactly. Exactly. Because after we get done talking about the shows, we're going to talk about whatever the hell I want. Ugh. All right. So, things I'm learning about the reaction time on this, and honestly, it could just be because charging. Yay, we're up to 11%. The microphone on the cam is the one I'm using because that's the only one I have available right now. I'm just hanging out in my kitchen. This is not my usual setup. So I don't, yeah, it's not my usual setup. There we go. Okay. So yeah, because you know what? I plugged in. I had a microphone plugged in when I was in LA, and that was for my first thing, and people were saying they couldn't hear me at all. So I don't know how to get an external mic yet working with the camera. Oh, Mark, you got to pace yourself. What possibly it's due to charging and it had a freak out. That's true too, Kelly. Yeah, it's just if I didn't charge it, the poor thing was going to die. If I had realized what a power sucker it would have been, I probably would have had it plugged in from the get. But yeah, now this poor little thing is trying to keep the camera charged as well. So yeah, like I said, this is a learning experience. I do the same thing, Mark. There's this amazing when I lived in central Pennsylvania. A lot of people don't know this about Penn State. It started life as an agricultural school, and they still have a huge agricultural college, right down to the fact that they butcher their own meat. I actually took this class where it's like Tuesday, you go in and look at the animals and you decide what kind of meat they're going to produce because there's formulas just by looking at an animal that you can kind of determine how much fat they're going to have, blah, blah, blah. And then Thursday, we got to find out that we were right because they slaughtered the animals and then they like had them on a rack and they brought them into the classroom. It's interesting. Wasn't really what I wanted to do, but it was a required class for the major that I had chosen. But anyway, Penn State makes the most amazing beef summer sausage that I have ever had. I've had other beef summer and they make cheese too because they have cows. They make their own cheese. So the best combination in the world is Penn State beef summer sausage and Penn State cheese. Now, granted, I don't live as far away from Montana as Mark does, living in LA. My state college is only 3.5 hours away. Tomorrow's show, Travis, 10 p.m. East is the time for tomorrow's show. 7 p.m. West, which is something I usually have to remind Mark about. 7 p.m. West, 10 p.m. East, live tomorrow night. Anyway, so whenever I go up to Penn State, they also make their own ice cream. So whenever I go up to Penn State, I get ice cream, I get beef summer sausage, and I get cheese. And then I have to sit there and try and pace myself so that I don't have to, yes, 7 p.m. LA, make a sticky, Mark, put a bunch of stickies somewhere so there we go. Put a sticky somewhere, 7 p.m. LA time. And 3 a.m. And Kelly will still show up every now and then, which I love and which I thank you for, Kelly. When the insomnia kicks in. Yeah, good old Greenwich Mean Time. I harvest from hunting. I take the bits once, some sausage. There you go. I know one of my jobs, one of my part-time jobs in the many that I've had, I was working at a check cashing place, and one of my customers was a hunter. And thanks, Travis. Appreciate that. One of my clients was a hunter, and he used to get his venison made into sausage. He would get venison sausage, and he gave me some breakfast sausage, and it was freaking amazing. I couldn't go out. I have to admit, I could not go out and shoot my own food, but hells yeah, if you want to offer me some venison, I'll take it. He also got venison sticks, like Slim Jims, but they were venison. Those were really good. Aunt Nina showing up means a sleepless night in Europe. Wait, is Nina here? Did I miss Nina jumping in? Yeah, Nina's just a night owl. We love Nina. Nina's just a night owl. But she's amazing. Love Nina. So talented. So amazing. Adore her to bits and pieces. Just like all of you. Hi, Slackwaddle. Slack Twaddle. So nice to see you here. How are things in Canada? See, this is what I love about Kelly and Nina is they're such night owls that I can usually chat with. We usually have fun chatting during the day. If I need, we just have an amazing time chatting. And then I usually like to wake up and they've been up for hours talking and I'm just like sitting there trying to catch up on whatever the conversation was. There you go. Yeah, central Pennsylvania takes hunting season. Kids get off school. They close school for the opening day of buck season in central PA. That's so, like I said, I appreciate hunting has its place. It is important to keep a lid on the deer population and whatnot. So I totally get it. I couldn't do it myself. But any hunter that goes out and shoots and then has the carcass and butchers it or has it butchered and eats the meat, I have the utmost respect for him. Yay, War Dog got his Wash Gang shirt. Yes, or talks to me in airports. That's right. 4 a.m. for me was like midday for Kelly. So she totally kept me company in the airport because somebody who shall remain Mark told me that I should probably get to my rental car place early in case it took them forever to check me in, except that Alamo is an amazing rental car company at LAX. And there was somebody waiting for me. They checked me in. There were two shuttles waiting to take people to their destinations. So, so I had two shuttles. So I got to my gate 2 hours, literally exactly 2 hours before my flight took off. And I just sat there and then Kelly and I were texting and I'm like, fuck this, put my earphone in and I called her because this is how I look at talking on the phone in a public place. If you do it in a low voice, it's no different than talking to somebody that's sitting next to you. So I think one person got up and moved when they realized I was having a phone conversation. But I don't care because you know what? I could be sitting 2 seats away from two people having a conversation and it would be the same thing, except you just can't eavesdrop on the other half of the conversation. So that's how I look at it. Oh, wait, hold on. What's Mark saying? See, I just realized there's a lag. The Last of Us, Nick Offerman. I love Nick Offerman episode. Had Eric and I in tears. Me for the survivalist awesomeness, her for the sweetness. Aw. I like Nick Offerman. He's the one that's married to Megan Mullally, right? If I'm remembering my thing. Yeah, we were having fun on that conversation, weren't we? We really were. Wash and War Dog. Yeah, I need to watch more of his stuff. He's also a woodworker. I've seen him on Colbert. He makes the most amazing furniture. He's given Colbert like this gorgeous end table out of like an oak or something that was like amazingly old. Oh my god. That's another thing. My great grandfather was a master carpenter. And my dad's actually pretty handy building things and putting stuff together. I suck at all of it. My dad's the one with the green thumb. Somebody made a comment. There was a post of all of us at the last day of the live event. I think Todd shared the picture of all of us with Connor and Dominic and the whole Wash Gang and all the volunteers. And it was an amazing picture. And somebody commented that with all of us, Wash should be easy to keep alive or something along those lines. And I'm like, my whole thought process is don't get Wash anywhere near me. My dad could save anything green. I will kill it. I wish I would have inherited. I have tried to have plants. They all die. They all die. I tried to grow a garden. I had stuff outside. It produced like 2 tomatoes. Meanwhile, my dad's giving tomatoes away to anybody who'll take them because he make them grow wherever. And I think part of it might have had to do with the soil, but I was just so disappointed. So yeah, I don't do plants. Plus, with all my cats, a plant wouldn't survive 5 minutes in this house. Oh, see, War Dog, that is a very interesting way to look at spoilers. I look at spoilers for exactly what they are, which to me is because so many people can do them, things that they don't know. But that is that is also that's the flip side of the coin, and that is also a very interesting way to look at it. That there's things to look out for. I don't mind if somebody says, oh, weird. See, that would be me. I would plan. Yeah, Travis, you and me both. I get it. I completely get it. I don't mind if somebody tells me about an Easter egg. If it's something that doesn't have to do with the plot, I don't mind. I don't mind if somebody says, "Oh my God, there was an NX01 on somebody's desk in the background." I'm thinking about one of the J.J. Abrams movies where it was actually in the foreground. But or stuff like that. That was a deep cut, Travis, because I didn't see it. Oh, no, wrong one. Let's see. Show this one. Come on, come on. There's just a lag for some reason with this. And that honestly could be my internet. Because I'm on a wireless connection now in my house, and my internet in my house has been kind of crappy lately. Yeah, that was deep because I didn't see it. All right, see if this switches over. There we go. Oh, it's catching up. But the bride has the green thumb. I'm the animal. There you go. Yeah, see, I'm the animal chick. I don't have a green thumb. And like I said, when you have cats, you really can't have green anywhere in your house because it will be demolished. Could be the mimosas. Like I said, and now I'm empty, so I'm 3 in, but I'm not gonna get up and get another one. Because I'll maybe when I'm done, I will treat myself to a 4th one because I am not going anywhere today. Today is my stay at home and watch all the TV that I'm still trying to catch up on stuff that I didn't see because I was out in California for a week. And I can't wait to go back. I'm actually looking at maybe going back to LA for the Hollywood show. There's another Hollywood show on June 30th and July 1st. And I'm thinking about maybe going back out for that if one of my other clients who missed the one in October decides that he wants to go out to LA for that one on the 30th and the 1st. That would be fun. I wouldn't mind going out for some extra time over the summer. Maybe hanging out there for a while, until hey, listen, somebody said, do you want to come out and hang out for the month of July in LA and then just drive to Vegas? I would probably consider it, especially since it's probably cheaper to fly to LA. Yeah, I would, and I could fly on a big plane. I would seriously consider doing that. Just saying, just putting that out into the universe. Although if I was going to stay a month, I'd probably have to drive out there because cats. I don't think my mom would watch my cats for a month. And I don't think anybody should leave their pets that long. Anyway, that's just wrong. So, oh, see, it got held up again. You find all right. No. So go get yourself a mimosa. Nobody's stopping you. I would love to know what Mark puts in his mimosas, by the way. Well, that gives you until tomorrow night to watch the 3 new ones, or they're going to get spoiled. Oh, did you just say rhubarb? Oh, rhubarb is so good. I love rhubarb. War dog. Hold on, Mark. Yeah, exactly. Dog pee kills everything. I had a dog. I know all about that. And Mark, do not War Dog, if you would like the answer to that question, please tune in tomorrow night to the Shuttle Pod or to the NX7062 podcast regular. Stop it, Mark. Stop. That's it. That's all you're allowed to say. You can talk about it more tomorrow night. I love them, disliked them, liked it. I love Q and the whole Guinan backstory. Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. I'm all about wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, which is exactly the Guinan storyline. And we can talk more about this tomorrow, War Dog, when you tune in to the NX7062 podcast at its regularly scheduled time. Yeah, I thought you were off getting a mimosa instead of spoiling stuff for tomorrow night, Mark. I'll still have you on anyway. We'll talk more about it. But yeah, the Guinan thing was wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. And people had a problem with that. But we can talk about, like I said, we can talk about double streaming tomorrow as usual. War Dog. And knowing Mark and his fashionable lateness, we'll hold off on talking too much about Picard. I only got your joke, and I agree. All right. So, like I said, you guys are hanging out with me on a learning. Tomorrow, I promise I'm going to be on my regular computer with my regular setup, so there won't be, and I'm hardwired into the internet. I did my day drinking earlier, playing mini golf. Yes, Kelly, congratulations. You were out. This is the funny thing about that, Kelly. You were out celebrating birthdays, and you didn't let anybody who had a birthday win, and I love that about you. Yeah, Lower Decks is great. Lower Decks has a lot of Easter eggs, if you hadn't noticed. Oh, there you go, Travis. Go get yourself a mimosa after the show. Absolutely. Um, Lower Decks has a ton of Easter eggs. And back to what I was saying, I don't mind if somebody tells me to look out for an Easter egg because those aren't essential to the plot. But when it comes to plot points, I am one of those, please don't spoil it for me. But yeah, if you want to tell me in a specific scene that I need to be on the lookout for, like I said, like an NX01's in the back or something, then yeah, I'm all about it. I'm all about it because I will miss it. I am terrible at spotting a lot of Easter eggs. So if you want to tell me about an Easter egg, I'm good. If you want to tell me about a plot point when I haven't seen an episode, then I get a little annoyed, which is why I did pretty good avoiding all the stuff about Picard because I did not see the second episode of Picard until last night. Yesterday I did 2 and 3 of Picard and 1 of Baby Yoda. I watched the season opener of the Mandalorian, and since my show was on Monday and those shows drop on Wednesday and the shows drop on Wednesday and Thursday, by the time my show rolls around, I don't consider it spoilers. I figure between 48 and 72 hours is the spoiler zone when you shouldn't really talk about a show that's just been released. But after 48, 72 hours or so, I feel like it's fair game, which is why when anybody tunes into my show, they need to be aware that anything that dropped prior to my show, we're going to talk about. I like to avoid, I try to avoid spoilers for people. When it comes to movies, I'm not that I really talk about movies too much, but movies I would give a wider spoiler berth to, like at least a couple of weeks, because not everybody has the time or the money or the desire to go see a movie in the theater. So I try to space out movie spoilers a little bit more than that, obviously, because not everybody goes to see things in their opening weekend. I got over opening weekend stuff a long time ago. There's very little that I need to go see on an opening weekend. I just try to avoid the spoilers. Even the plot points, you ask, especially the plot points. Very true. That is very true. Lower Decks is all Easter eggs, and it's so much fun to watch. It is so much fun to watch. Can't wait for them to come back. That was something else I wanted to address. Speaking of current Star Trek, I don't know how many of you follow me on Facebook, but somebody put up something not so nice about on my post about Discovery, because Discovery, this coming season is its final season. 5 seasons, but only 80 some episodes, which means Enterprise, even though Enterprise was a season less, they still win with more episodes. But somebody put up something not so nice about Discovery. First of all, they called it STD, which the only people that called Discovery STD are the ones that are meant to be rude about it. So I told that person that they were not allowed to be rude, that they were allowed not to like Discovery. That's totally fine, but you can't be rude about it on my page. And they deleted the comment. And then the more I thought about it and other things this person had said on my page, and they weren't even following the podcast. They were just coming in and making comments, and they weren't even bothering to follow my podcast. Then you don't need to see it ever again. So I blocked. Yes, emotions are high about Disco right now. One of my compatriots over at the Lambda Quadrant put it very perfectly on their Twitter, talking about if you're dancing on Discovery's grave, then you cannot consider, you can't call yourself a Star Trek fan if you're dancing on Discovery's grave. It's okay not to like it, but celebrating cancellation is not the same. Yes, you're right. It has brought out a lot of toxicity, Kelly. And none of it, as you all know, will be tolerated here. Y'all know, I do not like Voyager. But I have never dissed Voyager, nor will I ever diss Voyager. I felt like Discovery did a little bit jump the shark. I wasn't overly in love with this past season, but I mean, not only is it sad when a Star Trek show gets canceled, I mean, because it is Star Trek, but it's also sad for those amazing people, that we're not going to see again. That family on Disco that now, doesn't have Disco anymore, and it's probably very devastating for them as well. They're losing their family. They're losing, not so much losing work. They're all incredibly, amazingly talented actors, and I have no doubts that they're ever going to have a problem finding new jobs. But as we all know, Star Trek is family. So when a show gets canceled, you're not gonna see your family anymore. Exactly. It's sad for the cast and crew. Exactly. It's very, and just out of respect for that, how about you not turn around and diss their show while they're pretty much mourning the loss of Discovery? It's a loss, and they're going to mourn it. And the trolling on the internet is not doing anybody any good. So it's terrible. It's, you know what? It's terrible. And as like I said, I tolerate none of that. I tolerate it not here, and I will not tolerate it on my show, on any of my socials. And hence why I told this person that they were not allowed to be rude, and they deleted the comment, and then I deleted them from following me, which they weren't even doing. So I just deleted them from ever seeing anything I've ever doing again. Will make more sense to a larger audience 5 to 10 years from now, ahead of its time. Yeah, I mean that's a DS9 thing. DS9 didn't get its following until after. So you might be right, Travis. People will sit down and look at it later on and see it differently. And it'll be like Enterprise. People will be going, we want that 6th season. Kelly says, now that I'm getting the hang of this, and I just have to be patient for everybody's comments to pop up. It's not my favorite show, but people have been introduced to try. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's the other thing that a lot of Trekkers are missing, is that, you know what? The fan base grown. You want Trek to continue on, then Trek needs a steady fan base. Discovery brought people into Trek. So if for no other reason, have respect for the fact Discovery and Strange New Worlds and Lord X and Prodigy, they're bringing the new fans. They're absolutely bringing in the new fans. So you want Trek to continue. Trek needs they need a steady fan base to want new content. So hello, let's not be excited. And again, there's just so many reasons. Well, yeah, definitely wouldn't have Strange New Worlds. Definitely wouldn't have Strange New Worlds, because that was definitely a fan. Oh my God, we love Anson Mount and Peck. Give us them. So yeah. Let's see. Disco. Let's see. Okay. Come on. There we go. Swapping stuff out. Come on. Let's see if it posts. Nope. All right. There you go. See? All right. I'm trying Slack Twaddle because I really want people to see this. There you go. Disco was my first watch. Exactly. It pulls you in. It'll pull you into the rest of the stuff. That's how I got into Doctor Who. Somebody, wait, hold on. There we go. Okay. Delayed my watch of it because I was one of the Spock ain't got a sister folks. Yeah, exactly. Oh, I just lost. Oh, Doctor Who. I never watched. I watched Doctor Who with Tom Baker. I was too young. I didn't appreciate. I thought the sets were terrible, which they are. But it kept me from getting into the story. And then somebody's like, "Oh no, you need to watch. You need to watch." That's Stevie. Everybody say hi. Then they're like, you need to really watch this new Doctor Who. So I watched a David Tennant episode, found it really intriguing, went back and watched Christopher Eccleston, realized that there was 50 years worth of Trek of Doctor Who that they were referring to, that this was literally a continuing story. And now I can watch the older Doctor Who and get into it because of my appreciation for the new stuff. So, yes, exactly. Yeah. So you don't know how people are going to come into your fandom. What their gateway is going to be into a fandom. And it could very easily be one of the shows that you don't like, but somebody else liked it enough to come in, and then all all of a sudden you realize that they're in because of a show you didn't like, but meanwhile now they also like Deep Space Nine, or they like something else, and you're like, oh my gosh, you came in on something I didn't like, but now we've got something in common. Oh yeah, the Baker era, everything before that. To me, the William Hartnell stuff is almost unwatchable, because it was the 60s. So Hartnell's attitudes towards women, which which I loved. I can't watch a complete Hartnell because I get tired of the way he treats Susan, and whose granddaughter, and the teacher chick whose name I don't remember. But because all they do is run around and poor me and scream, and he treats them like weak little things and whatever. And I get it. It was the mid 60s, and that was the attitudes. And I get that. But Peter Capaldi's last episode, the one that he did where they brought back the first Doctor, and I can't remember the name of the episode. It was his last episode. It was his Christmas. Was it a Christmas episode? I think it was a Christmas, which was a great episode. And it's like Doctor Who actually made a nod to the fact that Hartnell era who is ridiculous when you look back on it now, 50 odd years later. But I can't sit through a Hartnell episode because of that. Yeah, I was gender biased, and I can't watch it because of that. I watched the first episode with the Daleks, and as anybody that knows Doctor Who knows, those first, all the way up through Sylvester McCoy, those were serialized. It could be 2.5 hours worth of one episode because it was a half an hour every week, or however long it was every week, and then you just had to tune in. So when you sit down and you watch one episode, it's hours worth of a watch. It's more like a movie every episode, and I could not. I'm like, okay, this is how we discovered the Daleks. Great, but I'm not going to finish this because I'm tired of listening to them. All right, War Dog. Thanks for stopping by. I can't believe that we've gone almost, what is it? We've gone an hour and 16 minutes on a literal, last minute little, let's all get together and do this. Oh, I love Capaldi. I think Capaldi's in my top 10. Couldn't watch Capaldi, couldn't understand Jodie's accent. So Matt Smith was a Doctor Who that I really enjoyed. I can't stand Matt Smith. Cannot stand Matt Smith. Oh, literally, yeah. Well, what is it? Fathom Events. They've uncovered some episodes, and they kind of pieced them together with animation. I don't know if they're going to be able. They did that with a couple of Patrick Troughton episodes. I don't know if they can do that if those Hartnell episodes are completely lost, or if there's bits and pieces floating around and somebody can put them together. But to Linda, loved Capaldi. I thought Jodie was great. Tennant is my Doctor because he's the one that kind of got me into it. But Tennant is my Doctor. I cannot stand Matt Smith. He annoyed the hell out of me. Yeah, the time goes by. I really wasn't sure. Would weird me too. Kelly, I'll see if I can find it. I just watched a Graham Norton clip on YouTube, where he had Tennant and Matt Smith. It was right around the 50th anniversary because that's when they did the 50th anniversary movie together. And they have this red chair thing where they let cast members come and sit, or I'm sorry, audience members come and sit and ask the guests questions. And one of the guys that sat in the chair looked like a mirror spitting image of Matt Smith. Plus he was dressed like the Doctor. It was great. It was great. But see, that's what I love about, it's the same thing. Doctor Who and Star Trek, you can draw so many parallels. And one of the biggest parallels is that they both have been running for so long in so many incarnations that nobody's going to like all of it. Everybody's got their favorite Doctor, and everybody's got the Doctors that they find unwatchable. And it doesn't matter. It's all Doctor Who. You don't have to like Capaldi. You may need to watch it just so you can understand the rest of it, but you don't like Capaldi. I'm glad that I'm kind of sort of catching up on some of the Voyager stuff, especially with 7 of 9 being in Picard. Like I said, I watch it before I go to sleep because it's on before Enterprise. So I'm kind of glad I've got it kind of in my ear, and just so I can kind of catch some of the Voyager references that otherwise I would have missed. But I still don't like Voyager. I'm still not a huge Voyager fan. And it's the same, and like I said, it's the same thing with Doctor Who. You don't have to like all of the doctors. You just have to respect that they're a doctor and people are going to like them. And, it's really that simple. Hard adjustment for me because Smith was mind bending and Capaldi was sentimental. Like Trek, you don't have to love it all. That's right. For me, Matt Smith wasn't mind bending. Matt Smith was freaking confusing. There's a rumor Stephen Moffat might come back, and I swear to God, I hope he doesn't. I blame Stephen Moffat for a lot of confusion on both Smith and Capaldi. It was just really hard to wrap my head around a lot of stuff, and I likened Moffat to Anne Rice, because it's one thing when you're a writer and you have editors who can sit down and go, you know what, this doesn't work. Maybe you should try this. But Anne Rice self-edited. She never edited herself, and her books got really bad. Because, you should never edit your own shit. And it's the same thing when Moffat started running the show and then he started writing stuff. Who's going to tell the showrunner their stuff is shit? So I feel like if somebody had edited Moffat better, maybe I wouldn't have had such a problem with some of his stories. But I just can't stand. I'm so when he left, I was so glad because I thought the stories were going to start to get better, and I thought that they did. Yeah, the new takes. Well, now and Russell T Davies is back, and I'm excited about that. I liked Russell T Davies. I mean, like I said, it was him and Tennant and Eccleston that got me into Who. So I'm glad that Russell T Davies is back. Because I'm really looking forward to seeing if he's still got it. So yeah. Well, I'm assuming, let me put it this way. I'm assuming that he wasn't really well edited just from his stuff. Like, I've never seen proof of that. That is my personal opinion about the editing, but I just feel like nobody told him no because he was the showrunner. So when his name was attached to an episode as a writer, I'm like I said, who the hell's going to tell the showrunner you can't do that? My personal opinion. I just feel like he wasn't edited very well because it's changing things and, like stuff that had stood for 49, 50 odd years. And he's like, no, let's just do it this way. I think one of my biggest complaints, and it's so minor, but it stuck with me in Matt Smith's last episode, where you realize that technically he didn't have any regenerations left. And Clara's talking to the crack, and she's talking to, and if you've ever loved him, then you'll help him. And I'm thinking, as far as I know from all of Doctor Who, and granted, I haven't watched every episode, but I mean, they stranded the third Doctor on Earth. They broke the TARDIS. They stranded him on. They did not like him very much. He stole a TARDIS. He ran away. He's been running ever since. Every time he comes home, he causes problems. I don't think that they liked him very much. And so that little plea just kind of seemed a little inauthentic to me. Rosa Park episode, though, takes a lot. No. Chris Chimball took over when Jodie Whittaker came in. Yep, that was Chimball. He and Jodie Whittaker started at the same time, and they both knew each other from Broadchurch, which was a really good mini-series with David Tennant. And the second, it was like 2 seasons worth, and the second one had Eve Miles in it from Torchwood. But yeah, no, that was Chimball. Chimball took over when Jodie Whittaker showed up. And I liked how Chimball kind of did like the historic ones mixed in with like the fun adventure ones. I thought that was really interesting. I thought the Rosa Parks one was great. I thought it was really well done. I thought all the ones that had something to say said what they needed to say very well. And then the ones that were fun were fun. And I thought Jodie Whittaker was a fun doctor. In like a slightly manic way, the way Smith was a little manic, but I liked Jodie and I didn't like Matt. Okay, well, since at this point we would all be looking at getting on with the rest of our days because the Shuttle Pod show would have wrapped, assuming it was a regular length episode and not a super long episode that Mark has been, again, generously treating us all to, those extended episodes. So let's see. How do I want to close this up, everybody? Let's see. Hey, join me tomorrow night. Regular bat time, regular bat channel, 10 p.m. 10 p.m. East, 7 p.m. West. Me and my special guest, Mark Cartier, because we've been talking about Matt Smith. Mark Cartier will be joining me, even though I just got his name wrong. And I will be reminding him to join me. And it is going to be Star Trek potluck. We're going to talk about Shuttlepod Show. We're going to talk about Picard, maybe throw in some Mandalorian. So you guys all watch. I'll get watched up if you don't want any spoilers. Travis, go enjoy your mimosa. I might pour myself another one before Mark. Heart you too. Before I, Matt Carty. I blame on the mimosas and talking about Matt Smith. But I will call, I'll call you whatever you want as long as you come on the show tomorrow night. So we're going to be doing that. And everybody for Patreon, from Shuttlepod Show Patreon, just make sure that you're on the lookout. Mark et al. Is looking for your opinions because we're revamping Patreon to make it even that much more stellar for all the amazing people that are supporting the show. And I thank you all for your support. I thank you guys all for hanging out with me for this little last minute brouhaha, or whatever you want to call it, pre-show to my post-show. I don't know. We'll think of something. But listen, guys, if you are around, there you go, Linda. Breakfast, brunch time. Kelly, it's probably sleep time. Slack twaddle. I don't know what time it is. I think it's East Coast time for you, or West Coast time for you, right? So whatever time it is, guys, thank you so much for dropping by. Thank you for spending the afternoon with me. I don't feel so alone now. Like I said, there was a hole in my heart because there was no Shuttlepod Show. But again, for the umpteenth time, well-deserved break for the Shuttlepod Show, and I'm glad I had a chance to fill in, and I'm glad that you guys joined me. Like I said, I didn't expect it to run this long, so thanks so much for helping me test out my equipment. Now I know that I'm going to need power packs and all this other fun stuff. And if Tiffany was here, I would tell her that I remembered to take the lens cap off because I think she was with me the time in LA when I forgot. And I was like, what's wrong with my camera? Anyway, guys, thank you so much. Tomorrow night, join me and Mark Cartier as we do a little Star Trek potluck tomorrow night live right here on YouTube. Or if you're joining me from Facebook, on Facebook Live. And trust me, you'll hear me better because I'm going to be on my regular equipment. So guys, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I hope to see you tomorrow night. And you know what? Until then, as always, live long and prosper.